Is Bill finally going to get his upcomings with Maxwell? We'll see.
Private dinner with Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, the key here is that this intimate dinner took place in 2014, long after public allegations were made known that Maxwell was involved in the sexual abuse of at least one teenage girl, as well as several accusations that she was actively procuring underage girls for Epstein's sex ring. The Daily Beast recently broke the story. It involved a star-studded gala back in February of 2014 where Clinton and his entourage headed to a vegan restaurant in Los Angeles called the Crossroads Kitchen for an intimate dinner among close friends. The Daily Beast is reporting that producer Steve Bing, a close Clinton friend and major Democrat donor, was there waiting for the former president to arrive. And if you didn't know, Steve Bing has since committed suicide. Regardless, one of the people joining Clinton for his intimate dinner was the now infamous Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, the important point here is that, again, by this time, 2014, Ghislaine was widely known to have been accused of having participated in Epstein's confessed and, yes, convicted sex crimes with minors, for which he served a short stint in prison a few years prior to that. You know, actually, that's a complete farce. We reported on other videos how Epstein's good buddy, Prince Andrew, actually lobbied the U.S. government for a better plea deal for Epstein when he was first convicted for pedophilia, which Epstein got. Democratic county prison officials in Florida placed Epstein in a private wing of a county jail and allowed him to spend 12 hours a day, 6 days a week at his mansion throughout his entire sentence. So the whole notion that Epstein served any real time in jail is a joke. But regardless, while Clinton spokespersons have yet to respond to requests for comment on this new bombshell revelation, they certainly have not denied the accuracy of these reports, but in many respects, it's almost like they don't even have to. And that's because the mainstream media, right, the left-wing activists disguised as journalists, they're completely ignoring the story. A seemingly deliberate omission that did not escape the notice of Fox News' Tucker Carlson. He had as guest on the show political commentator Tammy Bruce the other night, and Bruce made the observation that here you have a former president of the United States having a private dinner with this already accused accomplice of a series of pedophile sex crimes, and this just 2 years prior to his wife herself running for president, and yet, as Tammy Bruce noted, this revelation is only now coming out. I mean, think about it. You have a former president of the United States, husband to the 2016 Democrat nominee for president, who just months before had an intimate private dinner with an openly accused accomplice to a then convicted pedophile. And it's only now coming out? Now, what's so fascinating in all of this is that the Daily Beast's bombshell revelation recognizes this rather bizarre media omission by pointing out that TMZ's original reporting on the LA dinner that Clinton had at the time, it reported on it, but it only mentioned that Clinton dined with Sean Penn, the actor. There wasn't so much as a peep about any of the other private dinner guests. And again, this is rather bizarre, given that though the dinner was private, the guests...
What I want to note here is, look who else is in this. Jerry Bruckheimer, actor Bruce Willis, Sean Penn, and Katy Perry. Look at these hotspots for these individuals. Beyonce, Christina Applegate, Katy Perry. So it was famous for very popular people they had here. And what's sad is the guy that ran this is dead, committed suicide.
Given that though the dinner was private, the guests weren't. Everyone at the restaurant knew that Clinton was there, Sean Penn was there, and yes, Ghislaine Maxwell was there. They all knew it. And yet no one said anything about it. And it wasn't just that they knew Ghislaine Maxwell. Everybody who was anybody knew of all the allegations against her and her involvement in Epstein's confessed sex crimes. It was the fact that they tolerated it. They excused it. They considered it natural and normal within their inner circle. Look, we did a video the other day on the colossal fall of Oprah Winfrey. It was last week. And we mentioned a similar situation with her mixed up with the whole Harvey Weinstein scandal. And what was so fascinating with that was that at the height of the whole hashtag Me Too movement, of which Oprah anointed herself as a major champion and leader and advocate, critics started to push back against Oprah by revealing this bizarre relationship she had with Weinstein, even though, according to multiple reports, everyone who was anyone in Hollywood knew about Harvey Weinstein and what he was doing to women. Everyone knew, and yet it was tolerated. In the midst of the most woke population on the planet, Hollywood, these entertainment elites who lecture the rest of us on how unjust and discriminatory and patriarchal and racist we are, these same entertainment Hollywood elites, as it turns out, knowingly and deliberately tolerated some of the worst examples of sex abuse imaginable. And one of the major personalities that tolerated Weinstein appears to have been Oprah Winfrey. A number of outlets like Variety magazine have reported on celebrities testifying that Oprah knew about Weinstein's predatory behavior towards young women, and yet she, in effect, covered it up. She tolerated it. And yet she has absolutely no problem, not the slightest compunction of lecturing the rest of us on how we are all participants, either deliberately or inadvertently, in all kinds of social injustices. She's now, you probably know about this, she's the Queen's spokesperson of the 1619 Project, a so-called history project that does not, as it turns out, does not have a single historian involved with it. That's because it's a perniciously despicable attempt by the New York Times to teach children in K-12 schools to hate their country, to disdain and despise their nation. It's absolutely pernicious stuff, and all the more so given that's being pushed by someone like Oprah Winfrey, who openly rubbed elbows with a notorious sexual predator and appears to have knowingly done so. It's the same thing going on here. We have a mainstream Marxist media that obviously knows this stuff is going on with Bill Clinton and with Epstein and Maxwell. And yet for years, we don't hear a peep about it. All throughout the 2016 campaign. Not a peep that the Democrat nominee for president is married to a man that hobnobs with convicted pedophiles and those accused of aiding him in his pedophilia. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And you have to wonder why all this stuff is coming out now on Clinton. Well, it looks like we've got the answer. But first, I want to make sure you know that we've got a great gift for you. It's called our Fake News.
Is a good source here. Got it? I'll look at some of the sources. It all looks good.
With Bill Clinton. Well, it seems to be flowing out of something that Ghislaine Maxwell's friends were saying back in July. According to the Telegraph, while Maxwell's friends are confident that she's not going to sell out her very close friend Prince Andrew, apparently she feels very loyal to Prince Andrew because he's the one who got her introduced in this whole world of celebrity socialites and like. So while she's probably not going to sell out Prince Andrew, Maxwell has no such compunctions when it comes to Bill Clinton. She'll be happy to throw him under the bus. This, according to her closest friends. And according to Steve Hoffenberg, who was a close business associate with Epstein, Maxwell is
July 4th, 2020. Interesting.
absolutely going to be, in his words, quote, naming some big names, not only in terms of those who abused underage girls at Epstein's parties, but also those who made financial agreements with Epstein or benefited from his generosity, including flying on his plane and staying at his homes, close quote. Now, that fits with the video we did a couple of days back. The New York Post is reporting that the top prosecutor in the U.S. Virgin Islands is seeking more than 20 years of flight logs from Jeffrey Epstein's fleet of planes and helicopters, including his infamous private jet, the Lolita Express, a move that is reportedly stirring up panic among many of the rich and famous. Attorney General Denise George has sued the convicted pedophile's estate, in turn subpoenaing logs of each of his 4 helicopters and 3 planes going back all the way to 1998, all the way up to, shall we say, his rather untimely and convenient death in prison. The Attorney General is also seeking to collect any reports or complaints of what she calls potentially suspicious conduct reported by the pilots, as well as contact information for all those who interacted with or observed Epstein or any passengers connected to him. So it does look like the noose is slowly tightening, as it were, around Clinton. We'll have to see if Maxwell does indeed sing. But if she does, I don't think the Clintons are going to like the tune. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe.
All right. We'll see. The Clintons have escaped prosecution. I believe they're close to, some say close to 80 people around them have died through their influence. They're not good people, to say the least. And anybody that knows anything about the Clintons knows that she is a homosexual. She has been a president in the college for 4 years, leading a group of people, students that were gay, lesbians, and I got that from a gal that went to school with her, who personally said that. And anybody that knows anything about Bill knows that he was into abusing gals. His mother was a pimp, and he later got into drugs and other people, as well as sexual abuses. And he knew, CIA knew they could control him because of his past history and his sexual abuses over women. It would be a prime candidate to be pushed and controlled as a president. No one knew anything about Bill and his Arkansas stuff until he got into a presidential election. But his past is definitely shady, and so is hers, Mrs. Clinton and President Clinton, Bill Clinton. Their past is very shady.